Hello! Today, we'll be showing you how to replace the motherboard in a Toshiba CB35-A3120 Chromebook. First, you will need a few tools. An anti-static mat is recommended to prevent electrostatic discharge, which can damage electronic parts. A small, magnetic tip Phillips head screwdriver will be necessary for this replacement. You will need thermal paste during this replacement. A spudger will also come in handy during this replacement. You can use either plastic or metal, whichever you prefer. If you have tweezers, you might also want to have them handy, as they may be useful when dealing with small parts. The first step in the motherboard replacement process will be to remove the 10 bottom cover screws. Next, you will use your spudger to carefully pry and remove the bottom cover. Now, you will disconnect the battery cable from the motherboard. Next, you will remove the 4 battery screws and then remove the battery. Now, you will remove the 2 Wi-Fi antenna cables from the Wi-Fi card. Next, you will remove the Wi-Fi card screw and then remove the Wi-Fi card. Now, you will disconnect the speaker cable from the motherboard. Next, you will disconnect the touchpad cable from the motherboard. Now, you will disconnect the keyboard cable from the motherboard. Next, you will disconnect the power cable from the motherboard. Now, you will disconnect the LCD cable from the motherboard. Next, you will disconnect the camera cable from the motherboard. Now, you will disconnect the fan cable from the motherboard. Next, you will remove the fan screw. Now, you will loosen the 4 heatsink screws. Now, you will remove the fan and heatsink from the motherboard. Next, you will remove the 8 motherboard screws. Now, you will remove the motherboard. The first step in the installation of your replacement motherboard will be to set the motherboard into place and then replace the 8 motherboard screws. Now, you will reconnect the speaker cable to the motherboard. Next, you will reconnect the touchpad cable to the motherboard. Now, you will reconnect the keyboard cable to the motherboard. Next, you will reconnect the power cable to the motherboard. Now, you will apply thermal paste to the CPU on the motherboard. Next, you will set the fan and heatsink back into place on the motherboard and then tighten the 4 heatsink screws. Now, you will replace the fan screw. Next, you will reconnect the fan cable to the motherboard. Now, you will reconnect the camera cable to the motherboard. Next, you will reconnect the LCD cable to the motherboard. Now, you will replace the Wi-Fi card and the Wi-Fi card screw. Next, you will reconnect the 2 Wi-Fi antenna cables to the Wi-Fi card. Now, you will set the battery back into place and replace the 4 battery screws. Next, you will reconnect the battery cable to the motherboard. Now, you will snap the bottom cover back into place. The final step will be to replace the 10 bottom cover screws. You have now successfully replaced the motherboard in your Toshiba Chromebook. Good job!